Well, should I call you Mr. King or Sir Harry?
Whatever you want.
Oh, easy. You're that easygoing?
I'm the easiest, most difficult person you'll ever meet.
Oh, I can work with that. I can understand that.
Yes,
I can understand
I'm just
that.
like you, Luke.
Oh, actually.
Or you're just like me. Or like I was.
So
We
when-
can drink to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll drink
there
to
you
that.
go.
Cheers, gorgeous. Oh. So, Harry, tell me, can we start with your Instagram? I look at your Instagram and I see so many great things from back then, from now. Like, it's really a
Hodgepodge.
of many things. But the pictures you have on there are pictures of. I mean, they're references of things that I haven't seen in this day and age that we would see as people in a book or anything. It's things that are clearly from you, like as the beginner.
Well, you know, I'll suddenly think of something and I suddenly remember a photograph because I have an amazing archive. And I don't want to get too carried away like the past,
Right.
because I live in the present. You know, I mean, I'm 150 years old and I started work when I was 15. And so it's like I have a lot of years. I'm not really 150 years old.
So he says.
I'm 140 years old. No. So I have a big history.
Right.
I have sheets and sheets and sheets of Patty Hansen.
Wow.
When I first took pictures of her in my apartment, and I was never able to throw them away. And I've edited them now, and I'm a happy camper. I've got rid of the crap, and now I've got fabulous pictures, and that's what I'm working on, and I'm going to make all these small books. Might as well use them somewhere rather than just Instagram and Facebook.
Oh my god, of course. But do you think some of the pictures that you may have thrown away will
No.
be valuable to someone? Or not?
No, they were rubbish. And I know a good picture and a bad picture.
Of course.
I have made mistakes, yes, but now not so much. And if I'm looking at 50 pictures of a model in the same outfit, it's not hard to throw away the bad ones.
Yeah, of course.
Especially now.
Oh, it's
But
easier now.
then I couldn't do it because, you know, I loved Patty Hansen. She was my girl. She and Rene Russo were my muse.
Yeah, wow.
You know, I mean, so there you go.
That's amazing. That's just too amazing. But tell me, so basically you were very much on the scene back then. The sex, the drugs, the Vogue, the disco. I mean,
Well, I have to tell you, my career started in London.
please do.
And when I left London in 1974, I was one of the hottest hairdressers in London. I was working for the top salon. I was the creative director there. And I invented a couple of haircuts that are still going now. I mean, it's just something I tried out.
And it worked.
And it worked. And then I wanted to come and live in New York because I was coming here all the time.
But what was it about New York that you wanted to be here for?
It was free. London, I felt there was a ceiling. And even though I was doing really well, they were still flogging a dead horse with the 60s.
Right.
It was now early 70s. My bosses were going to open in New York. They got scared. They decided not to. England was on strike all the time.
Oh, really?
And I thought, fuck this. I want to get out of here. And I was like, top boy. I had the most amazing clientele. I was one of the first people to do a mullet. Going to work the next day, my first client comes in. She said, oh, I love your hair. I sent her downstairs. She has a perm. Bring her up, chop it all off. I did all my clients like that. And it started that kind of trend in London.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Why hair? Why did you start doing hair? And what even took you into it? And then why come to the US? Like, please, bring it.
Okay. I was brought up in the schmutter business in retail. And so I was in the shop one day and one of my aunties said to me, so what do you want to do with your life? And I said, I don't know. She said, why don't you be a hairdresser? You'll make a lot of tips. I didn't go to school the next day.
As soon as you heard that comment.
I went out looking for a job. And I got a job in a place called Eric of Baker Street, which was very nice salon in Baker Street. And that's how I began to be a hairdresser.
Well, Well, it's funny you should say it, because the reason why I asked that is just because when I started doing hair, I didn't start doing hair because I wanted to do hair. Not to make this about me or anything, but it's a similar kind of thing. To cut a long story short, my friend had a friend that worked at Vidal Sassoon in London and told me how they were working with the brand new heavies. And I was like, well, how does he do that? And he said, he's a hairdresser. He works with Naomi Campbell too and all these other people. So I was like, oh my God, that's what I need to do. In order to live in that world, that's what I'll do. Anyways, it's just going from what you've said, right? It just seemed to... It fit into place, but however, you seem to be very, very good at it. I mean,
well, I went back to London and I was working, and then I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was playing a lot of tennis. I'd already won a tennis tournament, club tournament, playing for the team.
So that was your passion,
That was
right?
my passion, much more than
tennis.
hair. Hair was okay, and I was good at it.
Yeah.
And I practiced on all the women in the tennis club. I'd go over at night time. I'd put rollers in their hair. They'd give me something to eat. I'd cut their hair, and I'd put the dryer on like this till it was dry, and they'd give me like half a crown or something. Didn't matter. I was practicing. So that's how I learned. I practiced and practiced and practiced. As soon as we started, I became #1 stylist. So now I'm working at Matalon. I've been there like a year, and I call up Leonard and Michael John, who had just opened, and I said, do you need any hairdressers? And they said, where do you work? And I said, on Bond Street. And they said, yes, come along. And so I went along for an interview. So my big choice now was, where do I work? Leonard's or Michael John? Because they both wanted me.
Of course.
And at Leonard, I would have been a small fish in a big pond. Right. And at Michael John, it was only Michael and John. There weren't any other hairdressers. So I chose Michael John. And that really was the beginning of my career.
So listen, I have more questions for you. Okay, you were revolutionary and an original. You were the look of the time. What do you think that it was to make a cover of Vogue a Harry King cover?
Well, to be honest with you, the first few covers that I did for Vogue, I mean, it was like I hadn't established myself yet, really. So to do a cover for me was a horror story. And then once I realized what I was doing and why I was being hired for that look that I was doing.
The look you talked about earlier.
Yes. Like the loose hair. I mean, I remember telling a photographer he wanted me to do a certain thing, and I said, look, I have my own style, and it's like if I asked you to take a picture like Deborah Turbeville, you wouldn't want to do that. He said no, and I said, well, I don't want to do that kind of hair that you want.
Did you stuck to your guns though? You stuck to your guns?
Well, I think one has to.
Yeah, well, it's,
you know,
that's
and
what you're good at.
It's nothing to do with being big-headed or anything. But if you're being embraced for what you do, it's like I turned down Helmut Newton.
I'm sorry, what?
I turned down Helmut Newton.
Why would you turn down? I mean, I can say that now because of the history, but I would love. Okay.
Now, if I hadn't developed my own style, of course I would have done it. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm on such a high wave that I'm doing this fucked, ravaged hair.
Right.
That bed head, that's what I started. That's what everybody wanted from me. That's what I'm doing for Vogue. Right. That's what I'm doing for everything. So I don't want to go in and argue with Helmut Newton. I respect him. I can do Jolie Madame hair. I can do smooth up, beautiful hair. I'm a great hairdresser. I'm trained. You know, but I'm not going to go and argue with him. I've come out with maybe 3 looks in my career that were history making. Right. And I don't mean to sound big-headed, but it's fact.
I think that you can be big-headed.
So as you know, I did a lot of Cosmo covers.
Yes.
And originally, and not that many people know it, it was my goof on America.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I had done a few Cosmo covers and they were rubbish. Okay. And so I used to go and do covers, and it was difficult because it was like the girls would come in, put the heated rollers in, make her look pretty, have the makeup done, get dressed, And it was like, it was okay, and the editors were nervous, and we were making, it's what I said earlier, we were making the girl look pretty, but there was no look. And when I left London, I thought, thank God I'll never have to do another fucking Cosmo cover. So one day I'm going to work, and I bump into a makeup artist called Sandy Linter. So she said, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to go and do another fucking Cosmo cover. So she said, you should be so proud, she said, because every hairdresser in New York wants to do just one, and you're doing them all. And I thought, you know what? I've got to come up with some kind of concept. Wow. And I went into work and I thought, America likes big hair. And I thought, I'm going to do big hair. And so I did the model's hair, big, and Helen Gurley Brown, who was editor-in-chief of Cosmo, loved it. So the next Cosmo cover I did was even bigger. And that's how it evolved. One day I'm on a trip for Vogue with Gia and Kim Alexis and Jeff Aquilon. And Polly Mellon comes over with a cover of Cosmo under her arm. She said, we want this for Vogue. And I did big hair on Gia and Kim Alexis, and that's how I started a trend in Vogue.
That's when it started.
And they didn't laugh at me.
Actually, I think I'm very interested to hear about, if you're willing to spill the beans, is who was great to work with. I want to know models, I want to know photographers, but also I want to know the bitches. Who was a nightmare to work with, if you can spill?
All right, nightmare. Meryl Streep.
Oh, really?
Yes, didn't like her at all. There was a singer called Judy Collins. Didn't like her either. Otherwise, everybody was fantastic. When you're on top of your game, the models come in, they're not going to give you a hard time.
Complete respect.
It's not even respect. They know you're going to make them look good.
Right.
Simple as that.
Yeah, amazing.
So as far as I got on with nearly everybody model-wise. I love the girls and the boys, but I worked more with 98% with the girls.
Right.
I never really had bitches and bitches coming into the studio. Before drugs took over, girls were on time. You had a 9 o'clock booking, they were there at 9. When drugs took over, 11:30, you're looking at your watch. Where are they? They're coming in from being out all night. I was out all night, but I made sure that I had half an hour's sleep and I would go to work.
Wow.
And so I'd go into work and we'd wait and wait and wait, and we'd do loads of drugs in the studio, and we would just continue, you know?
Right.
And that's how it was. One day I was looking at a model in front of the camera and her eyes were like needles. She was so high, and I thought, this is ridiculous. This is what this is turned into. The girl, you know, I mean, these girls are going to have these covers looking horrible because the editor, or maybe not the editor, but everybody's high. And so they're looking at pictures and they don't really see what's happening.
Of course. Would you, I mean, I don't know how honest you are to speak, but would you say you're part of that?
Part of what?
Getting messed up at work as well?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. It was the part of the times.
Of course, of course. So, listen, also, I hear and I see it was a lifestyle, but it wasn't just a job. Like, it was... Obviously, when you were working back then, you were doing the hair and stuff. I know it was a job too. It was what you were doing, but it was a lifestyle too. You were Harry King. You were caught up in it.
Yes, but I went home to a normality. I didn't go home to Harry King because my real name is David.
That's right.
And I had to change my name when I first came to America because I worked in a salon where there was a David. So I would go home. A lot of my English friends were living in New York. I'd hang out with them. I was David. And if I got a bit uppity, they would make fun of me. Wow. Oh, Harry, you're you're so Harry tonight.
Oh, really?
And things like that. So it kind of snapped me into shape. And I also had family in America that kept me grounded, because family is very, very important to me. Friendship is very important to me. So my job was my job. It was not my lifestyle. I was always thankful that I had big success in London before I came to America, because big success here is totally out of whack.
Yeah, it's different here, right?
It's so different. It's out of whack. It's all about fame and your name. For me, I used to laugh at myself. You know, I never took myself seriously.
And I really appreciate that about you, and that's what I love about you. But the thing is, what you did do, you created something that was amazing and revolutionary back then. Whether or not now, whatever you say to me, I know, we know, that you did something that is created, like, it's created a look for us now. Like, to the younger hairdressers, like, you've paved a way for other people. So you might look at it now and be like, oh, I just did it, whatever. But you must know also...
you know what? I'm really proud of what I did, because I know what I did. I altered the course of fashion history.
Yes, you did. You altered the course. You
proud
changed it.
Of what I can look back on my life and say, wow, look what you did.
The pictures that we look at of Studio 54 and all these different kinds of things, or that era, the Vogue covers back then.
How fabulous that club was.
Well, I don't know. We're going to okay, let's just move straight to it. Let's talk about it. It's my favorite subject. Let's talk about Studio.
All right, so I get an invitation in the mail.
Ooh!
Big poster. It folded out. I still have it.
I think I took a picture in front of it one time.
It was designed by Joe Euler, a wonderful artist who's no longer with us. So I remember thinking, because I got lots of invites, and I thought, oh, do I want to go? Do I want to go? And I thought, oh, I'll go. I show up. They hadn't opened the doors yet. Outside, hairdressers, models, everybody. And I thought, God, if a bomb drops here tonight, no one will go to work tomorrow. The studios will be empty. So, I go inside, and pretty fabulous, and there's people dancing, and then there's the banquettes, and I go up to the second floor, where, because it was a theatre turned into a dance place, and they kept all the seats upstairs like a theatre, and the first thing I see is a very handsome, pale-skinned black man getting a blowjob from a very attractive black girl in the front row. Ooh. That was the first.
That was just the first.
You went into the toilet, 6 guys in a stall snorting cocaine. I mean, that's what it was like. And when I was leaving, there was a girl in the corner, and she asked me, do you want to be a member? And I said, well, how much is it? And she said, $75. And I thought, you know what? If it doesn't take off, my European friends will love it.
Right.
So I still got my membership card.
Okay, Harry, I have one more question for you. So I know you're retired now from doing... I'm not finished yet. Okay. I know you're retired from doing hair as much, but what have you been doing in between the time of your, like, Harry Kingness till now? Because I've heard you're bringing out a book, possibly about an ex-supermodel. I don't know.
I'm working on several books. I'm doing a book on Gia. I'm doing a book on celebrity faces, people that hung out with me, people that I worked with from the 70s and 80s. That's a great book, all black and white. I'm doing a book on the south of France, Cannes, when I very first went there in the 60s and in the late 70s. And that's a very raunchy book.
Ooh.
You'll love it.
Oh, I think I saw one of the pictures. I got given them recently.
Yes.
Ooh.
Didn't I give it to you?
Yes, you did.
and so I'm going through all my stuff, and I just want to do books. I've got stuff for my family, stuff for my friends, because when I'm gone, you know, what's going to be done with these photos? So I want to do something right now with them, and that's what I'm working on. But I'm not retired in any way. The thought of retiring, if I was retired, in one night I would age 25 years and I'd throw myself out the window. Because it's like, I always want to work. I'm healthy, I love life, I love my friends, I love what I do, I'm enlightened, I'm positive, I have no negativity in my life, I don't have anyone with bad karma in my life. There, I drank too much and I'm babbling on.
No, you don't at all. Harry King, I want to say something right now. Please give me your hand. I just want to say to you right now, it's been a wicked interview, and also, thank you so much for sharing the truth. Bye, motherfucker. Thank you, Harry King.
Pleasure, darling.
Lovely. Mwah.